Dear friends, glad to see you all on Feygin Live. It is Monday, 11th of July, 4 minutes past 10 Kiev time. Apologies, we slightly overlapped with the previous cast. And we have Olexiy with us, and it's, oh my god, day 138. Glad to see Olexiy. Good evening. We have almost 200,000 watching us. About 10,000 left their likes. Big ask, please subscribe to Feygin Live, to Alexei's channel, and if you're watching that in English, subscribe to the Privateer station. Links to all of them are in the description below that video. Alexei's channel is pretty interesting. He actually had a stream with Olexiy on Bayraktar News. We'll see if we'll translate that on Privateer station. But for now, Olexiy, please tell us about what's going on. Alright, a lot of events, the usual. When I disappear for 2 days, things happen aplenty. And it's one of the ways to cause a lot of events is not to do a stream with you. By the way, tomorrow I will be away again. This is a difficult week. Major notion is that there was no operative pause on the front. It lasted exactly 45 minutes, and then they continued to move and try to attack again. So Putin lied? Yeah, he lies. Every time he says something, it's going to be a complete reversal. Complete opposite of it. So let's go follow the map. Sumy and Chernigov, continuous threat of Russian missiles. They did not hit those places in the last 24 hours, but Kharkov was still being shelled. They're wounded and dead. I understand 20-30 people wounded recently. The numbers keep changing, so I'm not on top of that exact number. Just remember that there are at least a couple dozen of them. There is no real movement there of any troops, but they're definitely using missiles and shelling. According to some data, they are accumulating some troops in Belgorod region in Russia, to the northeast from that place. Don't be afraid, it doesn't mean that they will advance towards Kharkov or try to take that city. They can't, we have enough troops there, but it may cause some slowback, some delay for our troops in that area, and I think that might be their main goal, to prevent our troops from seeping into Izum area, and that's what they're doing. These Izum and Kharkov are pretty intimately connected, so whenever one has a lot, the other has less. So it looks like they're trying to prevent us from moving towards their troops in Izum. Izum was active. They actually tried to proceed forward towards Slaviansk. They pushed. Yesterday, they lost about 200 men and a tank detachment, and had to roll back to the original positions because it didn't work. Most active events are on Popasnaya, Lysychansk, Severodonetsk area. There is a line there that is basically to the east of Siversk, Serebrenka. I'll just open the map here and follow the map on my device. They took away my pad, said I don't deserve it, so I have to zoom on my phone and it's a little different. Alright, so zooming in. There is, to the east of, actually to the west of Belogorovka, there is Serebrenka. To the south of it is Siversk and Verkhnya Kamenskaya, which is a bit to the right. There are about 10 to 12 Russian battalion tactical groups trying to cross Seversky Donets direction from Belogorovka. They are trying to get there to push our troops away from the river. Basically, they're trying to create a certain way to cross that river, an easy way for them to do. They've been attacking for 3 days and failed to move even a kilometer. Got their asses handed to them and still at their original positions. Going down south, there is another group that wants to get to Kramatorsk. If you look at Kramatorsk, the region of Raya-Alexandrovka, Nikonorovka, Malinovka, that's basically from 12 to the middle of this 12 o'clock to the middle of the map. This is all to the north of Solidar. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to go from the north. The group that took Liman might want to try to push south to these villages. They might create another kettle for our troops near Siversk area. So there is a bit of a threat that they pose right now. Another tactical surrounding of our troops, they have pretty good troops in that part from Lugansk and Donetsk republics, which are more battle-ready than Russian troops. You keep saying that time after time. Why are they more battle-worthy? More experience. They've been fighting for 8 years, and they're more charged politically. So who's fighting there? Is it your old compatriots, Ukrainians? Or is it Russians that they brought there? No, it's that same detachments that were fighting with us for 8 years, and they also have a bunch of Russians, of course, there, and they have different scores. They've been attacking us, we've been attacking them, so they are particularly angry. And then there is another group that's to the south of Bakhmut. It's very south, it's like about 5 or 5:30 on this map. And they want to cut Bakhmut-Gorlovka road, so that our troops in Zaitsevo, Golmovsky got into another kettle. So one to the north of Bakhmut, another to the south of Bakhmut. What do they count upon? They hope to create 2 tactical surroundings, encirclements of these troops. And they may at some point hope to create one big one, maybe join these 2 together. And second, they're afraid to attack Bakhmut up front. Severodonetsk and Lysychansk were too expensive for them, so they prefer to surround it and, with the threat of getting cut off, get our troops to withdraw from Bakhmut. Because basically from Seversky Donetsk to the south of Bakhmut, they have about 40 battalion tactical groups. That is pretty much the last battle-worthy groups they have in Ukraine. The ones that can actually attack and maybe even take a settlement, a village or a town. They have not invented anything new here. They keep playing the same move. Or just 2 small threads of tactical encirclements with the hope to make them one big kettle. But so far, their attempts to move did not bring any luck to them, any success. There is a little bit of motion to the south from Bakhmut. That's about the only place where they actually advanced a bit. And let's look at Kherson. No, that's not. We're not done here. There's also Avdiivka, Marina, Donetsk. They try to proceed to Avdiivka about 6 p.m. on this map right now, and could not really get there. Then they have another group near Vasilievka, actually Mikhailovka. Before, they used to be gathering near Vasilievka. Why they're not doing it now? Well, they're choosing a different place. Before, they've been sitting in Vasilievka. Let's move the map because it's outside that map. Let's see where Vasilievka is. And right after HIMARS entered the battle theater, they started forming their troops way further. How far is it between Vasilievka and Mikhailovka? Probably about 30 kilometers, 25, 30 kilometers between these two. But the real border is even, the real line of contact is further to the north. So they're trying to be away from Roman reach from Vasilievka, which is right now in the middle, slightly to the 9 on this map, near the water. And they're grouping further down south. So let's go to Kherson. We've been shelling their ammo and fuel depots on Kherson area. We destroyed at least 12 high-ranking officers, colonel and such, and a couple of generals. So now they're on Russia. They're screaming that they're losing warehouses and command outposts. They actually have one guy in the Russian media, Slatkov, who was writing in his posts screaming for Russian genius to invent something against HIMARS reach. Can they invent something, Olexiy? Nothing. That's the proof of the effectiveness of HIMARS. With one hit, we destroyed 12 high-ranking officers with another 10. And we're not counting hundreds, seriously, hundreds. We haven't seen that many destroyed, that many losses on the Russian side for a while. It's Russian Guard, a bunch of Buryats from Siberia, detachments, and several big warehouses destroyed in Novaya Kakhovka. There was a operating post next to it, and we destroyed them completely. Also, Chernobyevka 26 happened this week, and they also had one of the forward operating bases there. So Kherson area is being pretty leveled in terms of their military assets. And even near Kherson, we got some of their military stuff. And that shows how liberation of our cities may happen. Those who are gathering together, those who are grouping in the city or around the city, they can be weeded out pretty successfully before our troops get there. So they might take positions closer to the civilian objects. Mark, it is hard to do that with HIMARS. Those places that they were taking, they were amidst the civil targets. Not a single civil object hit, and their stuff is completely destroyed. Is it because of HIMARS accuracy? Yes. HIMARS is accurate to 3.5 yards. What about the shrapnel? Well, of course, there can be some things during the war, but so far we have not found any single civilian reported dead from it. That shows you how effective and strong this weapon is. Over 30 hits we conducted during the last 24 hours, and all these Russian bloggers, military media is screaming for a very serious reason, because HIMARS is a weapon that is really hard to resist. All the measures that you can take effectively against it is to disperse, to move further out. It only worsens the position on the front, because any dispersion, of course, it helps to weaken the result of HIMARS attack, but it makes it much weaker for the overall front disposition when your troops are pretty dispersed. If HIMARS did not make these 30 hits, they would have been way more activity to the south and to the north of Bakhmut. These days, they have to repeat their previous experiments with attacking it not with artillery but with tanks and infantry and losing a lot of people and a lot of equipment. So right now they have a way weaker perspective of having anything replaced compared to the beginning of this war. So HIMARS is definitely changing rules of engagement on this battlefield. And there's basically 10 vehicles. 10 vehicles. So do you count that today's tactical decisions taken by Moscow, they're caused by their reaction to HIMARS attacks, because they still need to do something. If there is no counter equipment, they need to change the tactics to not get hit by HIMARS. So as you said, avoid concentrating troops together. That can really slow the advancement of troops on the east, and it's hard to figure a way how to or what to do in the south when you cannot concentrate. So what can they do? I don't think they will invent anything. HIMARS missiles are nearly impossible to hit. At maximum they can disperse, they can move their valuable and material targets further out, back 70 or more kilometers away from the front line. I heard there are some things that were hit at 120. Does it work? Did it really happen? Yeah, in Lugansk there were a couple of hits of over 120 kilometers. And some people were asking questions. How did it get them? How did 70-mile rocket hit something 120 miles away? Well, it's hard to tell. Somehow it did. And, there may be more instances when missiles can fly further than that, maybe 300 kilometers. Hard to tell. Mark, what if they just uproot and leave? I don't think Moscow will allow them to uproot and leave, but it is a big problem for them. Because very soon there'll be a HIMARS fear, phobia on the front, as phobia of anything that you cannot really protect yourself from, and that is very accurate in the way it hits. Basically, they really have nothing to fend it off with. Secondary, the military capabilities will decrease because they have to push away the operating bases, and resupply lines will be extended. And another problem is that HIMARS fleet will be growing, and the amount of hits will increase. How to resist that? They don't have a solution. They will be scrapping for different options. There are some voices about sending special forces and sending them deep into Ukraine territory. I'm just seeing that special forces that venture 20 miles into our territory, and how all our population, grandmas and foresters, are catching them with all the media they have. Or, Russian brave aviations flies in and gets shot down immediately, because these vehicles are never alone. They're usually protected with anti-air defense. I think they might bring some of their Tochkas U and try to hit our troops with their missiles, trying to show that they do have something to shoot back. But there is a problem. HIMARS is very accurate, and it can hit those Tochkas just as fine. I also heard that some people are saying you guys even hit the S-400 anti-air stuff. Maybe, but we're still checking that, because they're sending they're dumping a lot of fake data. I don't have the confirmation of S-400s, but I know that we hit at least 30 targets, and we have not missed a single one. Since yesterday, there were 13, 14 that I just am aware of. Imagine all of them are precise. Imagine the quality of our hits, and all these are targeting warehouses, fuel depots, operating bases, soldiers agglomeration. These are the things that accumulate gradually but realize their potential suddenly. We have over 300,000 people watching us live. We have 90,000 likes already. Again, please do not forget to share the link anywhere, in any forums, any discussions. We would love Russian troops to see that stream. We need to tell them the same idea that it's not safe to be in Ukraine. Perhaps it's time to uproot and go back to Russia. And of course, subscribe to Feygin Live, to Olexiy Arestovych, and to the Privateer Station. Everything is in description to that video. Subscribe. Let's discuss President Zelensky and his order that was given to Minister of Defense Reznik about the occupation of the south of Ukraine. We understand that this may be an advancement that was discussed for so long near Kherson. We've talked about it for quite some time, and I think on the front it's already quite visible what might happen, and nobody knows when it will happen, but the fact itself, does it mean that it will happen before September? Mark, it is hard to tell. Nobody will tell you the exact date until the motion begins. We're just following the logic that it has to happen before referendum and before their attempt to give Russian passports. Yes, referendum should not happen. Referendum will be not allowed to. It is much easier to prevent it than to fight with the consequences of a fake referendum. So, wait, things are happening. Looking at the map, looking at what our troops are doing in Kherson region, I think it'll be a pretty sad scene for Russian troops. I'd personally say if your parents and your children are going to Kherson to fight in Ukraine from Russia, you might as well just say farewell to them, because I don't see any of them coming back. We gotta bring it up, right? We gotta discuss it so they maybe can make some of them a decision to not go, or find a way to not go. Somebody said and made a good statement that why Reznikov did make this order public. Well, it is a reaction to Putin's "we have not started." Well, if they have not started, we show them that we will. We're about ready to start. So Putin's statement, "we have not started yet," what else can he do? Throw a nuke? What else can he do? Let me explain a few more things about nuclear weapon. Bring to the front or actually just preparing your nukes to the high level of readiness becomes immediately known to all the Western intel services. Now, where from do Americans, Germans, Brits know that this weapon is being prepared only against Ukraine? Well, they don't. Right. They suppose it may be used against their countries as well. When the missile has left the silo, or the submarine is out in the ocean with the nukes, or a strategic bomber is out armed with nuclear missiles, they will take their own measures, and the more it'll look like truth from Russia, the more severe measures collective West will be undertaking. And then, when West is put in a corner by Russia with an issue, do we survive being hit by Russian nukes, or do we make a preliminary hit on Moscow and Russian management? Yeah, that's why, exactly, I think that's what's going to happen. So that's why Lavrov is out there jumping and promising that Russia is not going to fight a nuclear war. And also, nuclear hit, a memory of that doesn't really heal well. If they want to capture a piece of Ukraine, and they'll be layered with the fact that they actually used nuclear weapon against Ukraine in order to capture the territory, that is a really bad memory. Well, to counter that, Olexiy, they may not even be considering it. They don't care. Probably, but that's still a matter. And what if they move away from Ukraine and leave Kherson, Melitopol? Oh, they'll say it's a gesture of goodwill. And, a loss would be if Ukrainian troops will be taking Red Square. They can withdraw from Ukraine and say that they're doing a goodwill gestures. They discussed something with Turkey and agreed to do that. What if they leave Crimea? They could do, it's a little different, but the same. They could still say it's a goodwill gesture and things changed. See, Mark, I'm also seeing different documents coming from Ukraine. They're being leaked to us. And they do discuss the possibility of nuclear weapons, but in any of these documents, they realize that use of nukes is a one-way ticket for all of them, personally. So why not to solve this problem with the Ticketmaster? Well, yes, that definitely is a possibility, and the West poses them a threat to a degree that they actually have to start looking at the Ticketmaster in Kremlin to maybe change that situation. Anyway, subscribe to our streams. Because Olexiy is leaving tomorrow, he will not be with us. I don't know if he'll be dealing with that Ticketmaster or not, but in the meantime, subscribe so you can see the next cast as soon as it's released. Now let's talk about the 15th. They are propagating that date. I don't want to push my opinion here, but they do portray here as if, see if anything happens, we'll announce full mobilization. If we'll be scared, we'll announce full mobilization of all the forces, all the Russians. So don't irritate us beyond the measure. It appears they're playing some chess game where they can't really play, but they're trying and posing. So my prognosis is nothing is going to happen on the 15th. And they're only announcing that just to maybe push the West for some negotiations or change some situation on the front or slow Ukraine down. Maybe they're just hoping to cause West to put extra pressure on Ukraine to pause and sit down and discuss. So if nukes is just sort of a probability category, they can still roughly say we mobilize 10 million people and send them to the east of Ukraine. So what do you think about 15th? Mobilization, yes, they're reviewing it too, but they don't like it. To the very serious cause that there is no equipment to arm everybody. Just because of that? Well, that and political measure too, because they don't know if armed citizens will not go take Moscow. Because according to their current polling, at least half of population is seriously against the war. So you're conscripting 50% of troops who are against war. How do you work with that? It's, at best, they'll leave the front. At worst, they'll turn weapons against. And in the army, there is one tradition: you never give an order that will not be followed, because they understand if the order is not followed, just one of them, there'll be no following of the following orders. So army needs discipline. If there is no discipline, there are no orders, and you cannot control these people. Recent data, for example, shows that they only could conscribe the regular 17% of the planned conscription. The usual 18-year-olds, they could only get 17% of them, of the nominal figure. So 4 out of 5 didn't show. Imagine what will be with full mobilization. Imagine you announced full mobilization and it didn't happen. And nobody came. And they'll realize that they don't need to follow Kremlin's orders, Kremlin's directives. And that likely will be another revolution, in a way. because, like some of the politicians said, who is sovereign in the country? It is the one who can declare extraordinary circumstance and cause the mobilization to happen. So if you cannot do that, you're not the ruler. You have no power. Yep, presidents decided to not come. So that story, when they can try to mobilize and find that 4 out of 5 did not come, that's a bad story. They likely will not go that way. Olexiy, I do want to finish that regime, so I'd love them to call for mobilization. I told you too that I don't like that regime either, and I told you that it will likely break their back. So I would even pay them to try to mobilize everybody. That's also good. 426,000 watching us, and we're over or almost 30 minutes live. Let's talk about it. I do need to bring it out. So, Congresswoman Spart, she has Ukrainian roots, and she turned. People are talking about it. We're not covering anything, so if it is a matter of discussion, she turned to President Biden with the old story of Zelensky. President Zelensky has agents and corruptoids around him, that they will either sabotaging decisions. I didn't really quite get what was the point of her point. And we do have people who are trolling it, who are criticizing it, and people who are just curious what's happening, and people really concerned with, is there any truth to her statement? After every stream, I don't know, I won't say with whom, but yeah, there we have a portion of our people who are screaming out loud saying that you and Arestovych are just hiding things from people. So I need to bring this up, It's a curious matter to discuss. I don't really have to comment here. It's an ideal situation. If Yermak is really Russian spy, Americans can find out about it and stop working with him. And if they don't stop working with him, then maybe he's not a cunning spy, maybe he's not a spy, and for some reason they decide to continue working with him. Today he was talking with Jerry Sullivan, an advisor of national defense, and the contacts continue, and in the Congress itself, leader of Democrats told Pani Victoria that not everything is as she describes. So this is an ideal situation. This is like a lie detector. Basically, if you pass lie detector, the trust increases. If you don't, then there are more questions. So we can see if Yermak passes that or not. We're not children, we're not trolls in our commentary. This is a very significant accusation, statement sent to the President of the United States. So they will have to review that and do some background check on Yermak, and they'll tell the result in a way, will they continue working with him or not. I think it has been discussed 10 times over. I think before the war and all the attempts in Ukraine to hopefully say maybe there is no war, maybe Russia will not attack. So you think they did not have full picture of all the politicians currently active in Ukraine? They do have background, probably dossier on everybody. Well, imagine the situation happened for the first time, even if it isn't, but imagine it's the first time. Looking at the consequences, looking at the depth of contacts between Yermak as a representative of Zelensky, he basically covers the whole American direction. That Americans either decide that he's too effective and he's a good spy and he doesn't affect our work with you, so let's keep him. Otherwise, he's not a spy or not effective, so that's another reason to continue working with him, because if he is indeed a spy, they'll stop working with him and request his replacement. or advise Ukraine to do something about it. So there'll be some results, some outcome of this. Yes, I think so. So I'm thinking that the atmosphere in general, and not necessarily Spart's statement, but Moscow is kind of eager to throw everything and the kitchen sink at this problem. I kind of think that the lack of trust may be one of the main things Moscow can target in relations between the West and Ukraine. What is the main danger of logic around that case? As long as they're doing the checks, that's fine. But the moment when they, for example, it could say, let's pause weapons supply to Ukraine, that's a collective suicide. So I do not understand the Ukrainians who are screaming that it needs to be investigated deeper. Putting their opinion and the destiny of the country on this opposite weights, scales, I would say destiny of the whole country and nation weighs more. And it doesn't make sense to pause any support while they're investigating Yermak. So people who are screaming that it's appropriate, that's like shooting your own foot or some other body part. And we do have some people who are screaming that, and they call themselves patriots and politicians and civil rights ombudsman. Well, everything will get a mark. Society sees that, and they'll give a certain mark to all that behavior. As for Americans, my experience with them shows that they're all very, very different. So one needs to concentrate on who says what and what exactly do they represent. Again, in America, there is a very tough electoral campaign going out now already. Remember the last time they were fighting using Ukraine in the fight? Kuchma, the president, was accused of supplying Kalchuga, the anti-air defense system, to Iraq, and Kuchma had a lot of issues politically. He actually had to send our own troops to Iraq to help American coalition to support his statement. And the destiny of Kuchma was not sad, but difficult. In America, they kind of forgot about that eventually. And there are some people in America who are saying that, or are seeing that as another fight that they cannot lose after Afghanistan. But this card will be played one way or another, regardless of the motives used by both sides. That whole discussion will go through two very precise filters. First of all, we are not interfering with their internal things, internal affairs, that's their own decision. And second, we need to understand that, and the world needs to understand that we're a sovereign nation and we have our own internal processes. And the main part is that military support in the war against Russia should not be paused in any way. This is really playing and following the Kremlin narrative. Oh, Mark, we got new Kakhovka. What happened? They're saying the sky is bright and there are a lot of explosions. Can you show it? No, I can't. I don't want to disclose the location of the video recorder, but it's beautiful. The sky and the detonation. So it looks like it's a ammo warehouse. Just keeps exploding. We keep getting these messages almost daily. Oh yeah, we're getting several during each day. So friends, those in Kremlin who didn't figure it out, your right side of the river is slowly being turned into a steak, so, or more like a burger patty. Ooh, another detonation there. Looks beautiful. So, a holiday that now we got the night work happening, and it's indeed fireworks. All right, so we'll get back to this discussion the day after tomorrow. And I do want to touch upon our charity project before we finish. We do have several platforms we're using to gather funds, especially NFT. We're selling a lot of these NFTs on the OpenSea platform. The painters from all kind of artists from different kinds of the world, countries of the world. Ooh, look at that. This is a beautiful explosion. That one was just posted to public. So one can think it's Chinese fireworks, really big ones. So for those who want to help us, we cannot do it too often, but we do it very targetedly. And we're trying to support people who lost their limbs, or trying to support kids. And second, we have a second project, which is a merchandise shop, which is going successfully. We have not received any proceeds from it. They'll be aggregated on our account and sent to us once a month. But there is a European site, I think it's in Germany, and then there is an American site. This one sells everything in dollars. So you can get that image imprinted on different hoodies, shirts, and such, drawn by Ukrainian artists who try to portray us as in a Sin City setup style. So that's all for today. We'll leave you till Wednesday. We'll see each other then at 10 p.m. Kiev time, and we hope that you'll come and be here on time. Till later. Goodbye, everybody.